Welcome to another Natron tutorial. In this video, we're going to be importing SVG files or vector graphics into Natron and be controlling different objects or paths within that SVG file. So it's going to be really good if you have Inkscape installed on your computer. Inkscape's a free alternative to Adobe Illustrator, and it's an awesome, powerful program. Probably my favorite open source program ever. To get started, we're going to download an SVG file. So if we go to pixabay.com, we could search under images, but if we can search specifically for vector graphics, which is what we want to do, and just type in grass. And I found this earlier that I really like. It's this countryscape with just a shadow, so it's kind of simple, only a few colors going on. So we're going to download this and apply some animation to it. If we click on free downloads, we see it is a vector graphic, an SVG file. At least that's an option. If we download the PNG, it'll just be one solid picture and we can't control individual objects. But by downloading the vector graphic, we can control individual elements of this, and I'll show you how to do that in Natron. Keep in mind, not all images you download from Pixabay or from anywhere are going to have an option for an SVG file. It's different. If you're not familiar with it, maybe just do look at Wikipedia, do some searching on SVG and how that works. We appreciate OpenClip Art Vectors, that user, for uploading this. This is they've released it under a free Creative Commons 0 license so that we can use this, and so that's awesome of them. So I just downloaded this. We can go check it out in my downloads folder. So we see that it's this file here, and I can open it up because I have, well, let's just do this first of all. I'm going to drag it to my desktop. I'm going to cut it, and we're going to put it right on my desktop. So I have Inkscape installed, so I can open it and view it. You can also view, actually, if you just drag and drop it, an SVG file into a web browser, it'll display it. Maybe you didn't know that. So web browsers have native support for SVG files. A lot of them do. We'll open this up and take a look and see what it looks like. So this is opened up. You can open these in Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape or any other vector image editor. So this is what it looks like. It's just one giant picture. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in Natron. So we'll just read it in just like we would any image or video file. So we go to the desktop and find the file. And here we go. So now we're seeing it. And it's going to be just like it was, like we looked at it in Inkscape. It's one big file. If I add a transform node by selecting the read node and hitting the T key, it'll put a transform node right in line there. And then we can see we can move this around, we can rotate, we can scale it, but still at the end of the day, it's just one file. We don't have any options, no additional options for this. If I add an emerge node by hitting the M key on the keyboard, we can see, if we make this, well, we can leave it how it is, but under the merge node, we have these different options. It says A layer, and then the output layer, because we only have A, we don't have a B right now. But the output layer, or the A layer, we have some options. We can either have none, or we can have just color RGBA, but that's our only options right now. And so I'll show you how to get more options so that we can control each individual element of this image. To do that, we need to open it up in Inkscape, which I already have it open in Inkscape here. And so I'm just going to put it back to where it was, Control Z, so it's right here. So this is a 1920 by 1080 vector graphic image, which means we can scale it super large, super small. It'll stay the exact same clarity. And if we select the whole thing and hit Control Shift G on our keyboard, that's going to ungroup. So by default, a lot of times people will group together their entire image, and even within the group, there's probably another group. So this ungroups, so we have some separate different objects now. We can see these trees separately. If this is selected, I hit Control Shift G again. Oh, I guess not. I guess this is just a path, which is pretty cool. And so we see this part of the fence is its own little thing, separate. So there's lots of separate things. This tree happens to be all one object or path. Yeah, but this is a separate one, for example. So it's just kind of just the way the artist created this image. And then we have the cow here. So what I'm going to do, we'll just leave everything like that. And now that I've ungrouped it, I'm going to go File, Save As, and we'll save another copy, and we'll just call this, I'll call it Country-Ungrouped. and hit save. So I saved that to my desktop. And now we have this other file, country ungrouped. So let's go back into Natron and let's read that in. So I'll keep this merge node here, but I'm gonna erase this read and we'll read in the other one. So now if I go to read, we see we have two. We have our original, which is the one with all these numbers. Then we have this one called country ungrouped. And I just saved that as an Inkscape SVG. There's different types of SVG. I saved it as an Inkscape SVG, which is fine. So we'll open this and we'll pipe that into our merge. So now it looks the same. We still can't select anything. Everything's still there. If we transform it, it'll transform the whole thing. But if we go into this merge node, we see under a layer, if we select, now we have this huge drop down. Whereas before we only had color, RGBA, and none. Now we have all these different options. If we select this first one, path 15, we see, oh, cool. It looks like it's showing maybe the at first glance you might think, hey, this is showing the mountains or the hill and also the sky. And then so we can go down and see what the next one is, path 19. Oh, path 19 is just nothing. Well, it's not really nothing because if you look, there's only a few things happening here. Some orange colors with gradients in the sky and everything else is black. So since our background is black or actually transparent, we can't see. If we click this button here, then we can see what that really is. Oh, okay. So path 19 is the cow. Let's go back to this path 15. Oh, path 15 is just that part of the sky. And path 17 is just that part of the fence. See that over there? So what we're viewing here is every single object. Every path has a different number. And every different path is, then there's some of them are just like tiny, like blades of grass. So every path, how come we're not seeing stuff down here? Anyway, every path can be displayed separately. So what we can do is we can merge together. So with this merge node, I'm going to, let's set everything back to the full thing. I'm going to select this merge node and hit the Control C on my keyboard and then hit Control V, and that will copy another copy of this read. I could just read the file in again as an option, but we'll read it in and put it as the background. And so now I'm going to hit the D key on this A node, on the node going into the A pipe of the merge, and the B I do want just to be the background. So we go on the B layer, not the A layer, but the B layer of the merge node, and we say only read this file and only pass through path 15, which is this part of the sky. And so now it's like, okay, got it. And then let me disable this one and I'll enable this one, which is the full thing again, because on the A layer we're saying read in everything, color, everything. Color RGBA is basically the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel, the alpha channel, all of it. Just read it in. And so we can go to just 17. That's just that part of the fence. We can go to just path 19. Oops, where'd it go? Make sure I'm on the A layer and go to path 19. So that's just the cow. So now we have the cow. And then if I re-enable this node, we have the sky. And so I could go through and try and find, and it is tedious. The more complex your vector image is, if you just read it in like I did, you got to go through and find what everything is. So an option for that, if we want to do, well, first of all, I'll just show you real quick what we can do. Which one's the cow? This one. We can add a transform node, and now we can actually move this cow around. And so you can see, if we wanted to, we could transform this, set a key here, move the cow to like over here, and then come back to the middle and have it kind of go down a little bit like this. And now we can create like an animation of this object against this sky background, which is cool since we're only reading in from one file. So that's kind of the cool thing. And you can do a lot of things with this. You got to think about how you can use this. So one option that's going to speed things up is if we were to group everything together. So let's say we just choose the objects that we want to animate. So let's come back into Inkscape and drag this cow over here for a second. And maybe we want to do like have this this part of the tree shake a little bit. But everything else, well, what else do we have? This background is actually, there's like two parts to it. We'll probably keep that. Well, no, let's do that. We'll also change not this one, but this background, this orange. So let's drag that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all of this and hit Control G. So now we've grouped all this again. So it all moves together and it'll all come in as one single path now, or actually one single group in Natron. And then we'll drag this back here, and then we'll bring the cow back in, and we'll bring the tree back in. Oh, and for the trees is now behind, we see. So we have to hit this button here, raise it to the very top layer. So now it's showing properly. And let's make the cow come all the way to the top too, just in case. So now all this stuff is here, and we'll kind of center it right back on if we can with our page border. All right, so now we've got our whole image here. So now I'm just going to save this. Well, no, before I save this, if we right-click on the object of the cow, for example, I'll call it object, but really there's a difference between paths and objects in vector. This is really a path, so I'm going to right-click on the path of the cow, and we'll go to Object Properties. And we're going to change it. Instead of path 19, we see over here, we're going to call it cow and hit set under the ID. The label doesn't matter in this case. Then this part of the tree is path 101. So we could just remember, oh, that's path 101. And then when we're in Natron, we can just go down and find path 101 from our merged layer and be like, okay, 101, where is that? Oh, there it is. And it'll show it's the part of the tree. See? But instead, let's just rename it. So we go down to Object Properties, Path 101, and we'll call it Treetop, and hit Set. And then the other one I wanted to control was this background, which is Rectangle 13, and we're going to call it Sky, kind of. Actually, I don't know if that's going to change much for me, but we'll see. Oh, oops. That's actually, oh yeah, no, that was right. This is G, so we can see what we have. Okay, great. Perfect. So now I'm going to save this whole thing. We go to File, we go Save, and it'll save it. It's this country ungrouped. And actually, so I saved it, but it's still in here, but it's not going to, I think there's a way you can update this, but I'm just going to delete these, delete this transform. I'll delete the merge also. So now we're just completely back to where we were. Now I'm going to read in this file. So we'll read in the ungrouped, the edited one that we've done, and it should have some different options now. So remember, it's not in the read properties that you change anything. There is, if we were working with like a Photoshop file with layers, you can actually choose which part of it, which layer you read from the read node, but with vector you can't do that. In the next video, maybe we'll play with the layers in Photoshop, because you can do similar things with Photoshop like this. But in order to view individual elements, we need to either use we can use the shuffle node, we can use the merge node. There's a couple different nodes have options. Actually, a lot of nodes do for what elements of the file you're going to use. So right now under A, let's go down and let's have it be our, where's our cow at? So we renamed this as cow. Oh, it's clear down here at the bottom, cow RGB. So that's showing just the cow. And then for our, we can go Control Copy, Control Paste, and for our background, tie that in there. So now it's showing everything, including the cow. If we disable the cow, we can see the cow stays there because it's, oh wait, actually, yeah, it's showing everything. So now under the B pipe, we want to go to just our background. What did I call it? Did I rename something background? I think I did, that rectangle. I see treetop here, but I'm not seeing, maybe I didn't save. Let's go in there and look. What did I call this? Yeah, oh, sky. I called it sky. So let me come in here and see if I can find sky. It should actually be right there at the bottom. So maybe for some reason, that was a rectangle. What I'm wondering is if that really, so sometimes you have to play around with this to figure out what's going on, which is what I'm doing now. So that sky, because it was, sometimes you have to convert in Inkscape. If we go to that sky and we go path, and we go object to path, that might have been the problem. I don't know if it was or not. Let's just go save and see. So just on this one, I'm just going to read this in again real quick. Let's read in this one here. And now we'll see if sky is there. Or maybe I just didn't save correctly. Back to our merge node on the B layer. See if we can see anything that says sky. Oh, there it is, Sky RBG. Maybe it was there before, but so now we're viewing this. So this is kind of our background now, and then if we enable this, this is our foreground. All right, cool. And then we can bring in even a third thing to this merge node. So let's go copy, paste. And the third thing we want to bring in is, oh, it's not really the mask. We want it to be the A2. And that's going to be, right now it's everything, but what we really want it to be is, what did we say that was? Let's disable this, and let's come to this A2 layer. I think it's going to be a G. Yeah, this G202, it's the group of everything. We could go back, we could have looked at that to see if we move everything. It's called G202. We could have renamed this too to something different, but we didn't. But now we're seeing it. So now we have this is what we're seeing. If I disable it, enable this, we have the cow. If I disable it and enable this, we have the background. So let's enable everything, and now we've got a scene here, which is starting to look pretty cool. I mean, it looks the way it's always looked, right? But we have different options. For example, we can take the cow. And we can rename these nodes too. So which one was the cow? I forget. It was this middle one. So we can double click this node, and instead of calling it read3, we can call it cow. So now we know that's the cow node right there. And this one we can call this read scene. And we can call this one background, or sky is what I called it before, I guess. So now we know what the nodes are called, so it kind of makes it easier for us to see what's happening. So if I want to move just this cow, oh, we didn't get our treetop in yet either. So we can just, let's go copy, paste, and we'll tie this in, this A3, and we'll make the A3 from the merge the treetop. So now everything should be showing. Perfect. And so we'll call this treetop. We don't have to. The naming conventions are all obviously optional. It just helps you see what's going on. All right, this is going to be a long video, but let's just do some animation on this. So we can add a transform node. We can just come over here, add transform. And now we have a transform node. And just because, so right now it comes in the middle of the screen, but if we see we can move it around, it'll move the cow. Let's actually, let's just move this so we can come over here and actually, I'm just using my scroll wheel to kind of move the center of this. I like it to be, especially if we're going to be rotating the cow at all, it's good to have that kind of be in the center. And now we can see where this is going. Oh, look. So what I should have done with this cow was raised it to the top layer as well. I did with the treetop, but I didn't do it with the cow. So in the program, it's on a lower layer, not an actual layer, because if we go here to layers and look at what layers this has, we see there's no layers at all, actually. Everything's all within the same layer, but within the layer, there's also, or maybe it's called levels. Anyway, this is, oh, and here it's not showing that actually, but if we can set it down and up. Oh no, okay. So this isn't, it's not because of it's because of where it is here. So because this is on A, yeah, well, okay. So it's because A2, it's because the scene is on top of this cow. So this cow's gonna be behind it. So we should have had we should put A2 over here. Or A2 should really be A. But it's fine. For this, it'll still work. So we're gonna set a keyframe right here on this transform. We're gonna put the cow there. We're gonna set keyframe all. We're gonna come forward 10 frames. We'll move the cow up here. We'll come forward another 10 frames to frame 20. We'll move the cow down here. We'll move it to 30. Move the cow up here. Move to 40. We'll just have it go down. And then 45, we'll have it go up like it's eating or something. And then 45, go down a little more. And then we'll have it go off by over here. I don't even know what this will look like, but. So here we go. So now we've got this animation. This cow is going to kind of go along, hover here, eat a little bit of grass, and then go on out. And then we can come back over to our treetop and add another transform node. And we can make our treetop just kind of do something too. Like we can rotate it is what we can do. Set the key on the rotate. We'll come here to 16 and just do a slight rotation. And then come here to 39 and do a slight rotation back this way. Kind of giving the illusion of like wind. we'll come over here. All right, and so now we have an animation happening of our tree and our cow at the same time. So the tree is going to kind of do its thing, the cow is going to do its thing. And then we're going to do, the reason I did this scene as a separate thing is because we can also transform, or not scene, sky. We can also transform the sky, and let's keyframe it on maybe on the scale. Oh no, you can't really. That doesn't really make any difference. Oh, let's do this. Let's translate it, and let's have it just go up. So we'll start it on frame 1, and by the end we want it to be up here. Ooh, I grabbed the wrong object. And that's the problem actually with doing this too, is so that should do it. So that kind of changes the sky color, you can see. So it starts out dark, and then it's going to get sort of lighter because that background, that gradient's raising up. Okay, so there you have it. And I use this all under one merge. You could use multiple merges to do this. More or less, I just want to show you some options for working with SVG graphics. We'll render this out in case this is like, if you haven't watched the other tutorials, you might be wondering how to get this final product out. So we'll just read it out real quick, or write it out. We go to the write nodes, we'll go to desktop, and we'll call this cowvid.mp4. Hit save. Now this node appears, so whatever is going into the viewer, we also want to pipe this into the very last node before the viewer, which is the merge. And then we'll just come over here to write, and we'll go render. Oh, I should have stopped that because my project's kind of too long now, but it's okay. I think I can play a partial. So we'll render. So my project settings, clear down at the bottom, it's going to be rendering 250 frames, and we only did 100 frames, and the rest of it is just staying still. So there's no point doing that. So I'm going to hit stop right now and see if we can watch the partial rendered video. I think we can. Yeah, so here we go. Cool, so we got this tree shaking, we got the cow eating some grass, the background sky color is changing a little bit, and we see that comes up too because of the way I did it. Cool. Well, that is working with vector SVGs. Like I said, you can do a lot with it. In future tutorials, maybe we'll do like a UI interface, like you can do websites or simulate like an iPhone app or something in here. So you can do a lot of cool things besides just cartoon animation, but it is great for scene animation as well. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you have, and check out my other videos. I'm also making a tutorial series on using Inkscape if you're interested in that. So we'll catch you on the next video.